Okay.
Today, I'd like to share actually a topic that I'm curious because you are someone who have transformed your body, and I wanted to know your perspective on female and men working out in the gym, and what are the results each of them get? Like who has a better mentality, women in the gym or men? I mean, you as a coach as well, you have transformed many people. I mean, women, men's life, and in yourself as well. In your opinion, who has longest endurance?
Oh, that's just the answer. The people who have the most endurance, like to keep going, to make the transformation, to make the change, they're always the people who have the biggest reasons to do it. So that's either male or female. People who go into the gym and they're just like, oh, I just want to look hot, or I just want to look sexy, or I just want to lose 5 pounds, or I just want to lose some weight. They're always the ones who end up quitting early or halfway, or they don't even get started. It's just a thought that stays in their mind.
Mhm. Like, how do you know someone has that hunger?
I don't always know because only time can tell that, but there are usually early indications that give me a sense of who I'm dealing with. And a lot of times it's usually the people who show up. Sometimes they show up regularly early and they want to stay late, or if they're late and they're there, they just focus, like they want to move it, they want to push it, or they come in and they always have this constant need to try to be better, but they don't just talk about it. They're actually physically doing something about it. So if I, like one of my guys who's been with me since 2015, I'll ask him to do 20 reps of anything, and then he'll bang out 22, 23. Like he's always trying to get that jump ahead. Or if I think he's sore and I'm going easy on him, he's the one that'll kick it up and be like, hey, let's, if we can do more, let's do more. And the same thing goes with you, Helen. Like on when you were competing, if you weren't feeling sore enough in a training session, you would complain. You'd be like, hey, this session's a little too easy for me. And then I would have to ramp it up. So that's usually an indication, is when someone not only shows up for the session, not only invest themselves in the session, but when they're there, 80% of the time, they're giving their best, if not more.
You're right. Now, when come to think of it, there are moments. Okay, am I doing it for him or do it for me?
Right. Which either way applies, by the way, because I'm the type of person that'll do more for other people than myself. So if you ask me to do like a workout on my own, I'll be very like, meh, yeah, okay, I can do it, I can't do it. But when I'm going for you, when I'm going for a friend, when I'm there and I have to be relied upon, I'm a big supporter personality type. So I love being there for people, and I'll push myself harder to be there for that person than I will to push for myself. And you're the opposite. Like you're very good at you focusing on you. Like when you want a prize, then you're focused on, I want that prize for me. Like that's what usually, not always, but a lot of times that's what goes through your head. That makes, in my opinion, a very, very night and day opposite type of goal result for each person. Because the people that know their personality types and then operate within their personality to enhance the results, they usually get more ahead. And the ones who don't understand themselves, like somebody who, let's say, is going to fitness classes, but they hate fitness classes and they're better doing it on an app, but they go to the fitness class, they're the ones who end up quitting. But if they only stuck to the app because that's what they respond to better, and then they do the workout based on what the app tells them to do,
Right.
I find they progress much further and much longer because they're enjoying the process. So you got to find your personality type and then find the way that you like enjoying the process.
Yeah, you're right. Is knowing the why. Why am I doing this? Why am I working so hard? Right? Visualize. Okay, this is what's gonna happen to me if I work this hard. If
Right.
I do extra rep. Right.
Right.
I think at first I have to be honest with you. When you give me those rep, do that. Do that. Okay, do it for him. He's gonna be happy when I finish 10. But then I realize it's not for you. It's for me.
Right. Right, because that's what your character is more attracted to,
Yeah.
and that's perfect. When it
Yeah.
comes to achieving goals, I think we really have to know how we function. Like if we're built like a Maserati, we
Mm,
shouldn't be trying to run our engines like we're a Porsche. If you're a
mm,
Porsche, you shouldn't be trying to run your engine like a Ford F-150 pickup truck. Like you should know, or at least learn to know how you operate best, and
mm,
then move and take actions within your best modes of operation. That's
mm,
usually what gives us the best output from our
mm.
own results.
Yeah, so back to the talk about being man and a woman working out in the gym. All
Right?
depends what the why is, what the purpose, what the goal is. Right?
Boils down to why and your character. Your personality matters more than your sex, whether you're male or female.
Well, in general, I mean,
Right.
from a man's point of view, in
Right.
the gym, are men more likely to go to the gym, or is it the same right now in
It's the
terms
same.
of?
Again, it boils down to the person because every person has different needs. And what you're actually talking about is emotional needs. Now,
Mhm,
it could change depending on where you live or what groups you're hanging out with. But
mhm,
for me, like if you want to tailor it exactly just to me and only me,
mhm,
most of the people that I was serving over the last 3 years, not over the
mhm,
past 11, because it's always changed, but
mhm,
over the past 3 years, they've been mostly moms for the females. They've been mostly 9 to 5 workers or tech workers for the males, and some females too. I am generalizing, but if you're talking about females versus males, like that specific, past 3 years, it's been tech workers for the guys mostly, and parents or moms mostly for the females. And both of them work hard. Well, but like the ones that end up becoming the cream of the crop, again,
mhm,
are the ones who are very clear on what they want, but
mhm,
most importantly, why they really want it. Now, if you're talking about majority of like who are the females and males, that I just described. But for each category, they had about an equivalent of drive because there was always one or two guys that were
mhm,
just like, I want that next level. And then
mhm,
there's always those couple of girls or females that are like, I want that next level. Now,
mhm,
everybody says they want the next level,
mhm,
but they can't seem to push themselves, and rightfully so, because I
mhm,
don't think that's how we're built. But a
mhm.
lot of them will say it, but when they're not clear on why they want it, they'll push, and then when they get a little pushback, a little pain, a little sore, a little frustration, a lot of times they just end up quitting, or they sustain themselves at that fitness level, never really pushing themselves to that next stage of excellence.
Good point. Good point. Last question for today is: what does society have in for women in terms of physical expectation in men? We sometimes I believe that men has more expectation on women to be leaner, to be more attractive, right? I mean, you can tell from so many um, um, pose, the women would look great, but the men, I know this topic, the men would pay less attention to his physical. What's your opinion on that?
That's a good question. It's a generalization, so this
Mm,
does not my response does not apply to every person because it's a very
mm,
generalized question, right? And a good
mhm,
question. What I believe is that from ever since the beginning of time until like the day human race gets extinct, I
yeah.
believe that women will have more pressure on them to look good,
Mm,
generally speaking, and men, it could be a little bit more lenient. But the
mm,
reason for that, I believe, is that because mentally we're all wired up that way. That's just how we're wired up. Like
mm,
women, generally speaking, are a lot more attracted to the emotional connection. They
mm,
want to have someone to have a conversation with, to talk to. They want someone who mentally stimulates them.
mm,
Whereas a guy can get attracted if the girl just looks stunningly attractive. A lot of times that's enough to let the woman to come through the front door. You know
mm,
what I mean? Now,
mm,
why is that? Some and everyone's got like their stigma. Oh, men are like, and this is not my belief. It's just what I've always heard. Men are dogs, or like men just want sex, or whatever. But you know what? It's like it doesn't matter which part of the world you go. It's
yeah.
not like a bunch of guys got together and said, well, how do we pick a girl? Oh, this is how you pick a girl. Okay, let's do this. And then everybody around the world just somehow figured that out. No, no, you could take a child, a male child, and as they grow, Yeah, and I see this a lot with like my friends' kids, and like they're like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years old.
Mhm.
You can see the attraction process already start to begin. But it's not like dad's going over there and they're, hey son, that's how you pick up chicks. No, 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 that's not what happens. He just figures it out on himself. And you can see even what's really interesting is when kids are starting to grow up, you can already start to see what kind of opposite sex or other person they're
Mhm.
already attracted to. Like
Mhm.
my niece, I got a niece. Okay, my niece is 6 years old right now. Beautiful little child. I love her to death. She's just every time I see her, whether she's in a good mood or in a bad mood, she's like a joy in the room. Okay, she's
Mhm.
6 years old, six,
Yeah.
and she already has this favorite boy in her kindergarten class that comes over and he's like, hey, I got your name tag. And oh, hey, I can take your jacket. And every time he walks by, my niece sits there and watches him and goes, she's six. She's six. Who the hell taught you to do that at six? But you know what? We can't judge it because that's how she's wired. Right? So back
Mhm.
to your question, in conclusion, I
Mhm.
think it's a psychological thing that we're all born with to a degree. Of course, there are variables. And
Mhm.
as we get older, the attraction process changes for
Mhm.
many of us. But I'm
Mhm.
talking about like what's innately inside of us. That's just how it is. So what I usually tell people is learn how you're wired, learn how you're programmed,
Right.
learn what you like about yourself, what you don't like about yourself, and
Mhm.
then work with that. Like work
Mhm.
with you as a person versus how the world is, because if you're always focused on every other person out there, you got no control. Like you've got no control because we can't control other people, but we can definitely control ourselves, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
It does make sense. Ultimately, it comes down to how happy you look or you feel.
Right.
We go to the gym to work, on our body to get pain so we can look good. It's because we want to
Right.
feel good about ourselves, to feel good when we are with the people we love. We want to feel good in our clothes, in our shoes, right? Because we spend a
Right.
lot of money on that pair of high heels and beautiful purse because we want to look good, feel good,
Right.
ultimately feeling good. Yes. But
Right.
again, back to I think the same question about why do we have so much pressure on ourselves and not the men? So.
I think the pressure is the same, but just comes in different perspectives. Like
Mm,
for women, there's a lot of pressure to look good, to be
mm,
physically attractive. Well, for
mm,
men, what's the pressure on them? Well, for them, they have to be at some level of societal success. And
mm,
that's not me. That's just like what people talk about, what they're attracted to, what everybody's throwing out on their Instagram, trying to show how successful they are, even
mm,
if they're really not. Like
mm,
that's pressure. They're doing that because they feel that there's pressure from outside people looking in. So
mm,
the pressure for men is they got to be successful, or they got to be a leader, or they got to be somebody. They got to have some sort of status.
mm,
That in itself is pressure. And then when they go and date a woman, I'm going to get a little deep here, but a lot of times there's pressure for the men to perform. Like they have
mm.
to be great in bed. I hope there's an adult channel. Right? But just to get like to talk about pressure, like
Mm,
when a man and woman get together, it's not like the woman is just expected to be all fabulous and stuff. Like if the guy's lying there and he's just like dead meat, well, then it's not very sexy either. You know what I mean? So there's
mm,
always pressure on both sides. It just
mm,
it just comes from different angles. But to me, there's always going to be some sort of pressure there. The question isn't so much the pressure, but how is a person within themselves and understand themselves to be able to be responsible enough to handle that pressure. So the
mm,
pressure doesn't change them, but instead it gives them a chance to evolve and figure out, what do I like? What do I not like? Who do I want to become? What do I want to be? And that's a part of a lot of what fitness does for us, is because through building our bodies, we
mm,
get to discover, who the hell are we? Like
mm,
if you, let's say for example, we take somebody, let's say we take a George. I'll throw somebody, some anonymous name out there. Let's say you and I train George, and if George comes in and he does 10 reps, he's a fully grown man, 40 years old. He's got some muscle on him. He does 10 reps of, let's say, bench press, and it's like 30 pounds, so it's light.
mm,
After those 10 reps, if he's like, oh, I'm too tired now, I'm so sore, we get an idea of what his character is,
mm,
right? Because you know what? You know what's crazy? I find a lot of the ways how people train in the gym is how they live life. how they train in the gym is a mirror reflection, not exactly, but it's a window to be able to see of how their operations are and how they manage themselves in their day-to-day life. Like somebody that goes to the gym and goes, ooh, this hurts after like 10 reps. A lot of times they're usually the people that'll go out in the world and they'll try to look for a job. And somebody says, no, we don't need you. You're not fit for us. And instead of being like, okay, I'm going to go out there, do it again. They're usually the ones that go, oh my God, that really hurt. No, okay. Now I'm a loser because I can't get a job because nobody will hire me. Nobody will hire you. You went to one place, man. You know what I mean? But then you get people that'll go into the gym and they're like, ow, this hurts, but I got to try again. Oh my God, this is grueling, but I have to get better. That translates into life. So when they want to start a business and they get a bunch of rejections, they're usually the ones that are like, God damn, that hurts so much, but I'm going to go do it. Screw it. I'm going to go get it. I'm going to get mine. Or they're looking for a job. They're looking for a girlfriend, boyfriend. They get 2, 3, 4 rejections. You know what? Oh, that hurts so much, but it doesn't matter. I know what I want. I'm going to go out there and get it. Right. So in my opinion, training, like I went off a little bit on the side rail, but it correlates with everything we're talking about. What we're talking about really is how we deal with pressure and whether that pressure from society or the outside world either molds us to grow us or we allow that pressure to defeat us. I can't say what's right for every person out there. Who the hell am I, right? I'm your coach. I'm your friend. You know, we connect, but I don't know most of the people watching, and I would never judge anyway. But I would want to leave people with that thought of when you get pressure, who shows up? The warrior in you or the worrier?
Yes, I have been asked to show up many times. The right person to show up when I was whining.
Look, you have shown up so many times, and look at you now. You're a perfect example of this.
It was hard. It was
hard. It was hard. And what do we always say about what's hard? What do we always say about what's hard? If it's really worth having, it'll never be easy. But if it's too easy, it's probably not worth having.
Yes. Honestly, looking back, I really enjoy the process. If it's too easy, I wouldn't have the experience now to share with so many ladies.
Right. Look at your balls now. Look how big your balls are.
Process. The process. What I pay for, what I have earned. Yes.
Look at you now. Look at you now. Here we are in a Zoom call together. And I asked you, I'll never forget it. I remember the first time I asked you, May of 2018. I still have the videos. I'll pull them up soon enough. But I've got the video of me saying to you, Helen, it'll take some work, but I believe you've got a lot of potential. And the potential I believe you have is to get up on stage, to transform your body and show other women that being 50 years old is nothing to cringe about, that you could look young again. And look even younger. Because when I met you, you were relatively fit. Not a lot of tone in your whole body, but generally speaking, you at 49 compared to a lot of other women in 49, respectfully said,
I was 50. I was 50, I think.
Were you 50 already? 2018. Oh yeah.
Turning 50, yes.
Yeah, you were turning 50. That's right. You're 49.
But when you told me, I didn't believe in you.
Correct.
I didn't believe you. You're like, what the heck? You're just a promoter telling me that I could do it. I did not believe you because I didn't believe myself.
Yeah, because you didn't earn it yet. But look what happened when you did earn it. Look what happened when you struggled and then you learned that that's just part of the process. When you were sore as hell and then you learned, oh, that's just part of the process and I can make this better. And then when you started to see the improvements in your body, when your glutes, the one thing that you were always complaining about, started to improve. The back of your legs, when you used to have that chunky cheese looking cellulite, which I know sounds gross, but we're just being real because now you've resolved it. Now it's like, oh my God, the back of your legs look phenomenal. Like, you know, when you look phenomenal, and every time you look at your body, you know in your heart and in your head, you never bought that. Nobody gave it to you. Nobody just handed it off. It wasn't an easy lotto ticket. Screw that. You put in the work. And that's why you're so much more confident now than who you were just a shy little 2 and something years ago. Like, that's fast. There are people in their 50s, 60s, 70s that don't even have half the confidence that you've built again, not being disrespectful, just keeping it real. And a lot of it just contributes to the fact that they never learned in their own mind how to make that shift, to take the things that were painful to them and turn that into a power. Yet here you are doing the exact thing that we're talking about and living today, which again just goes right back to what we were talking about in terms of self-image, allowing pressure to control us or to grow us. All of that, everything that we ever look at that's either good or bad in the world, or how we live our lives, it really just boils down to how we respond to life and its daily pressures.
Yes, thank you. Yes. I have to say it wasn't just the physical um, uh, pain. It was a lot of emotional pain as well. It was hard, like working out, getting muscle, but then believing in myself. Like I didn't do one show. Remember, I did 5 shows, right? And people see, oh, so easy. She has a skinny body. No, it was not about the body. It was about my mind. Getting up when you fail.
I would say it's both. I would say it's both, because in the beginning, you didn't have the belief in yourself to make that dream come true. But remember, you made the shift the moment, like you got like, okay, so you went from 2018, I'm not doing it, Allan. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not interested in that kind of attention. I don't think I can do it. The list goes on, right? And then 2019, you kicked over and said, I'm going to do this, because external pressure was pushing you to either break through or break apart. Now, that was external. Internally, you shifted on the day that you first slipped into your competition outfit. So you're in your green bikini, and then we had to do your follow-up stuff. You're like, we had to check your before and afters. And I remember when you walked out, I mean, look, I've seen a million bikinis before. I've been doing this for years, right? But the one thing that made you different is that when you walked out, there was this sense of proud accomplishment. Like, not even cocky. It wasn't cocky. It wasn't even arrogant. It's like you came out as this confident little girl, which sounds simple. But when you live a life of feeling like maybe you're not enough, or maybe you can't do this, or maybe this and that, and like the whole list goes on, to see you flip and come out and be like, you were just like dancing in your, I remember you came out and it was the studio room. There's 2 other people working out, and the girl just kind of whispers to her buddy. She's like, oh, it was a surprise. She sees you and she goes, oh, bikini. And for about a good minute, they're just watching you, not because you're in a bikini. I mean, look, we're in a gym. The fitness competitors go into the gym sometimes just to practice their walk, right? Their stage walk. So that was nothing new. What was new was that you came out and you had an energy about you. It was your energy, I believe, that not only stopped them from working out for a couple of minutes, but even got them to watch you and enjoy watching you, because you were just living that moment. You were walking in that studio stage, practicing your poses as if you were already in the competition. And I can pull that up. I got all the records. Like that's, that's what we needed, right? So to be able to look back on that is such a gift. And I'm sharing this predominantly because it's a reminder that when we look at fitness, we look at gym, we look at all the stuff that we do. I believe that it starts with self-fitness physically, but then it moves to transitional mental fitness, which is what goes back to what you were saying, because you said it's not just physical, it's mental. I would say that you're right. And it also goes hand in hand, because if you don't get results, how good are you going to feel about yourself? If you're putting in the work and it's the same body a year later, are you going to feel as happy and as vibrant as you did April 2019 when you popped out and you were like, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me, right?
This is very true. Yeah, how you look good, you feel good. Totally agree. And I look good because I feel good then because I look great. I was almost okay. Next week is a competition. I think I'm ready, even though I wasn't sure I would be placed, but I did what I could at that moment, and I couldn't tell. Okay, I slack off. I put all the effort I had, right? So that's all I could do.
Calendars. I still have your calendars from 2019. You look at how many hours you put into that preparation. You treated your training like it was somewhere between a full-time and a part-time
It was
job.
like an Olympic.
It was very similar to,
Yeah.
yeah,
To me,
yeah,
it is because
fully dedicated.
more than Olympic, because I never done any big tournament. I mean, never big events like that. For me, it was the biggest
Right,
thing in my life because it's
right.
something I never
Which it
thought I would
was,
do. And on
which it
stage, half
was.
naked, it's like, wow.
Right.
So I give it
In
all
your
I have. For,
youngest
yes,
body,
yes,
in your
yes.
youngest looking body. The small win. Okay, so 2018 was very casual for your training. You're in about 3 days a week for private, 1-to-1 for the
Oh, that was
weight
just for
stuff,
like
right?
it
And
wasn't
then
for
the martial
anything,
arts stuff
right?
is about two
Yeah,
days a week. So
yeah,
you're on and off, minus the vacations, right? But the moment you made that decision, I'm like,
yeah,
okay, let's go. It
yeah,
was only that 3-month window. It was
yeah,
February, March, April, where
yeah.
we kicked it up to 5 days a week, solid, sometimes 6. And it was never just an hour. You always did an hour and a half to as much as 3 hours in a day,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what we were working on or how many body parts we had to condition.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the complaints of the pain,
Mm-hmm.
you still did it. You still did. And I'm saying this as a testimony that if anybody's watching this and they're like, oh, it's going to take me 5 years. Oh, I've got all this excess weight on me. No, listen, it could. It could take you forever to lose your 10, 20, 30, 40 pounds. Or it could take you a fourth of the time when you make the full decision in your mind that this is it. This is not forever, but for a period of time, a short period of time in my life, I'm going to dedicate this block of time to me. And I'm going to learn to bring out the best of me. And I'm going to invest a lot of my time into this so I get a faster result, so I can be proud of what I've accomplished sooner. And I don't have to wait until I'm 60 to get it. I can get it now in this year, or if the year is almost over, like now, November, early by next year.
Mm-hmm.
Transformations don't have to take a lot of time if
Mm-hmm.
you know exactly what steps to take by
Mm-hmm.
someone who's been there, like you, like me, and the person is willing to take on those steps. Nothing of greatness was ever achieved on a part-time mindset. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
You're totally right. I think without making a commitment to join the fitness competition, I wouldn't have worked so hard. So anybody
Right.
wanted to achieve something, you have to have a specific goal. In
You
2018,
got
I
to have
didn't have a goal.
something.
Oh,
Right.
I just work
Right.
out to be strong. There's no goal,
100%.
right? There was specific goal. We are going on stage.
Right.
I'm going on tournament, right? So it's like, here it is. You have to prepare. If you
Right.
want to look good, then you work hard. For the
Right.
longest time, do I want to be placed top 5? Do I want to place top 3? So all the requirement for myself was
Right.
there, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I didn't want it to be just one of the competitors. I didn't.
Right.
I have a goal. Okay, please top 3 or top 5, and you say maybe top 5. The way you're working at, it's like, oh, that was depressing too when you told me maybe not, maybe. Then I give it all. I said, you know what? First time I'm going to give it all, and yeah,
And then
it
you
was
play
hard work.
second.
It wasn't
And
that
then you
hard when you
play
think about
second.
it. It
Right.
was
And you play
yes,
second. Being
yes,
in that moment when you're on stage was not
yes,
that hard because that's when you get to relax. The hard work, the hard part was all the months prior to that, the
yeah,
hours before that. It's like people that go into a boxing ring or they take part in the Olympics. The Olympics itself is not the hard part.
mm,
That's where they get to chill. Like,
yeah,
yeah, there's still pressure, people are watching, but that's not the hardest part. The
yeah,
hardest part is all the 4 a.m., 6 a.m. trainings, the 6 hours a day, the sprained ankles, the bruised knees, the busted up muscles that they have to get massaged out, the
mm,
eating habits that they have to follow. Like Olympians don't get to eat whatever they want. They don't
mm,
get to sleep whenever they want. But
mm-hmm,
that's dedication. That's the hard part. And if somebody can get over that, knowing that they're doing this now to get in a tremendous life after, to get tremendous confidence after, then the question only becomes, is it worth it to you? Is it worth it? Like, look at you. You put in the hardest work. And I keep going back to you because the people watching this know you, they're getting to know you. 2018, the hardest part for you, in my opinion, was the day that you decided, February 4th, 2019, all the way up to February or April 27th or 28th for NPAA for the first competition that you did.
mm-hmm,
That block span of roughly 3 months was the hardest time for you, both physically, emotionally, psychologically, because you were stepping into a world that you had never experienced before. But look at you now, because of that 3-month span, it's not only catapulted the way you look and the way you feel, but now look at what's happening to your life. Now you're doing your fitness, and I'm not even asking you, I do sometimes, but most of the time you're on your own fitness. You're managing yourself. I'm not babysitting the way you eat. I'll check in. I'm your coach. I'm supposed to. But 90% of the time, you are managing your own food. If you slack, I don't have to get on you and be like, woman, you slacked. I don't do that. You do that yourself. You are so good now at self-sustaining. And yet, look at what's happening to your life as a result. Every year, you look younger. Every year, you look healthier. Every year, more people recognize you. Every year, there are more women and maybe even men that look at you and say, God, when I'm 50, I want to look like this. And they're not pointing to me or like, the girl next door or what, like, I don't have a girl next door. Example, they're looking at you. They're looking at you. And I'm saying this in conclusion is it worth it to have gone through those 3 months to have these years of every year, something about you is getting better and better and better, whether it's the physical or the mental or emotional state, or just the way that you're impacting your circle of influence around you? Is it worth those 3 months of struggle, which is really just part of the climb? It's part of the journey. Is it worth it for all of these rewards that don't seem to stop coming for you month in, month out?
Thank you for the compliment. I have to say it's a set of skills that we have to push ourselves, like going to school, right? Like writing an exam, like studying. So right now, with fitness, it's almost the same. It's just you go to the gym, just see the results, to keep trying to study what works, right? Like we all went to school before, and why do people do so well and some don't, right? Because they study harder to push.
Right.
It's the same kind of process. And of
100%.
course, it's worth it, right? And in terms of me looking better every day, it's because with that skill set, I can take next level. I can do more, right? It's all a skill set, right? So there's always room for improvement.
100%.
So now my world, the fitness world, the beauty world is bigger, right? At the beginning, I didn't know much about supplement, about vitamins out there more. And I want to try which one I like the quality when new products are coming in.
Right.
So
100%.
Yeah.
You've heard this so many times, and I have too. There's lots of room at the top.
Yes.
And don't stay at the bottom because it's way too crowded. I used to just think of that as like business success, but now I've realized, no, that's anything in life.
Yes.
If you want a better body, there's lots of room at the top.
Yes.
And having a weak or a body you're not happy with,
Yes.
it's too crowded at the bottom. The same goes for relationships or finance or business or health, whatever. The one thing that you're explaining is that in what I believe, we as people can always get more out of our lives if we choose to do this one thing that I believe is the domino effect that impacts everything else. And that's the ability to allow ourselves the chance to never stop learning, applying. Learning, applying. I was going to end it with learning, but I'm like learning and applying. There's lots of people that know stuff.
We call it growing.
Right?
Growing
which
is
results in growing. From learning and applying, it results in growth.
Yes.
Right? Learn alone, you're just book smart.
Right.
Trying to apply all the time, but if you have no background knowledge, well, then you're kind of be like this. You kind of go everywhere. But when you have both, oh my God. And then every year you're learning something new and then something better. I mean, look at you. Your knowledge now in 2020 is far greater than what you started with in 2018. I can't imagine how much more you're going to know and apply for yourself and for the people who follow you in 2021, 22, 23, 24. You'll be like Jedi Master in like a few years, being able to help just about any woman who's serious about changing their body. The day will come, I believe, when you can look at a woman, spend a few minutes with her and be like, oh, well, you're just missing this, and this. You just need to do this. It'll come so naturally to you. And that's where we are headed. That's where you're headed.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things that I love about your idea for doing this podcast is now we're getting a chance to bring more people, to that next level of life experience
Mhm.
with us, where it's not just us feeling good and looking younger as the years go by, but you'll have a following of women that'll also want to do that with you because you're teaching them how.
No, I love it because I get to enjoy my beautiful, healthy, I think ultimately healthy figure. So why wouldn't
100%.
be something anybody would want to be, right?
100%.
Yes.
Right.
So no, this is great. I actually enjoy this sharing right now at this point. I like you said, right? Mentally, emotionally, physically, I have grown, and I know there's so much level that I can become better, even better,
Right.
higher, right?
Right.
So I
Right.
thank you,
Never
thank you.
ends.
It's because all because of you, the good support
Ah, too
coach.
kind, too kind. Always here to help and support. I'm happy to be here, part of your career and your transformational life.
Yes, yeah, I feel good because I can see other women get inspired by me. So
Hmm.
that's the most fulfilling.
Right.
Yes,
Right. I totally agree 100%. And it's not even done. We're just at the very beginning, Miss Fong.
yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.